The Indiana Fever required an extraordinary performance from Kelsey Mitchell during the latter portion of their contest to rescue Stephanie White from embarrassment. It took an additional period for Indiana to defeat what is arguably the league's weakest squad, a team now sitting at 6-27. The opposition controlled the game for 3 full quarters before the Fever managed to turn things around. The victory came at a significant cost due to Sophie Cunningham's injury. Bria Hartley became the center of controversy after a questionable play that resulted in Cunningham going down hard. The incident occurred when Hartley slid over and appeared to make contact with Cunningham's knee area, causing her to fall awkwardly. They had to pull out towels to sort of cover the situation up. Bria Hartley getting absolutely destroyed by everybody throughout this game after that dirty-ass incident. Right here, we got Sophie's sister Lindsay and her mom Paula. At WNBA, maybe you should focus less on officials had to use towels to address the situation on the court. Hartley faced widespread criticism from fans and observers throughout the remainder of the game following what many viewed as a reckless play. Cunningham's family members expressed their frustration publicly. Her sister Lindsay and mother Paula directed their anger toward the WNBA organization, stating that the league should concentrate less on fining players for criticizing officiating and more on hiring referees capable of calling consistent games and protecting athletes. They called the situation pathetic while sending prayers for Sophie's recovery. Paula Cunningham specifically targeted Hartley, describing her as a troubled player who has encountered problems wherever she has played. On Paula, at WNBA, maybe you should focus less on fining players for commenting on your poor officiating and more about hiring officials that are able to call a consistent game, protect your athletes. Pathetic. Praying for you. Sophie Cunningham. Yeah, officially, my 2 favorite players in this league that I really particularly love to pull for, they're both out now. And it did not look good. No word on that, by the way. She characterized Hartley's style as aggressive and out of control, suggesting a pattern of problematic behavior. Marina Mabrey delivered an impressive 27-point performance for the opposition, but the main storyline centered around Mitchell's heroic effort that saved White from a devastating loss. Mitchell exploded for 38 points, with the majority of that production coming in the second half and overtime period. Chloe Bibby received only 7 minutes of playing time and missed both of her field goal attempts. During one sequence, Odyssey Sims appeared to deliberately ignore Bibby despite her being in a favorable position to receive the ball. Lexi Hall contributed a crucial 3-pointer that served as the decisive shot. Aaliyah Boston recorded a double-double with 14 points and 13 rebounds on 7 of 13 shooting while adding 5 assists. Natasha Howard provided solid support with 18 points and 9 rebounds. The team's primary contributors showed up when needed, with Mitchell, Howard, and Boston carrying the load. However, there have been recent concerns about Boston's consistency and decision-making on the court, raising questions about her recent performances. Mitchell sealed the victory in overtime with a clutch jumper while being defended closely. The game featured some peculiar moments, including a jump ball situation early on where Sims appeared confused about which direction to go, looking around to see which way her teammates were moving. 7 points. But the story is Kelsey Mitchell saving Stephanie White's ass. 38 points. 38 points in this game, almost entirely in the second half. Unbelievable. It really was unbelievable. Chloe Bibby got all of 7 minutes, was 0 of 2. Odyssey Sims, while many would argue that any victory counts as progress, this performance highlighted the team's ongoing struggles against inferior competition. The win helps keep their playoff aspirations alive, but requiring overtime to defeat such a weak opponent raises serious concerns about the team's current state. It took a career-high effort from Mitchell to overcome a squad that lacks the talent and depth of Indiana's roster. The injury situation with Cunningham adds another layer of concern, as initial observations suggest it could be a serious knee injury, possibly involving the ACL or kneecap displacement. Recent comments from White indicated hope that Caitlin Clark might return before season's end. However, given the team's current struggles and injury problems, there's legitimate question about whether Clark would risk further injury for a squad that appears unlikely to make a meaningful playoff run. Odyssey Sims had literally looked her off instead of throwing the ball to Chloe Bibby. I don't know what she was doing. Lexi Hall hit a big three that was the dagger at the end. Aaliyah Boston, 7 of 13, 14 points, 13 boards, a double-double there, added 5 assists. Natasha Howard, 18 points, 9 rebounds. So, your big three, in this case, 2 of your big three showed up. The depth issues become more pronounced if Cunningham is sidelined for an extended period. The ideal rotation would include Clark, Cunningham, Howard, Boston, Mitchell, and Hall, though Hall has struggled offensively recently, despite hitting the game-winning three-pointer and making crucial late-game rebounds. Her overall shooting performance has been inconsistent. This victory doesn't absolve White of criticism regarding her coaching decisions and team management. Even supporters who had previously defended her approach have begun questioning her effectiveness. The broader perspective shows losses to Dallas Wings and Washington Mystics, plus this near disaster against Connecticut, resulting in a 1-2 record over the last 3 games. These should have been relatively straightforward victories given the opposition's talent level, but instead became difficult contests that exposed the team's current limitations. The win provides temporary relief but doesn't address the underlying issues that continue to plague the organization. The toll of this victory, particularly Cunningham's injury, may prove more costly than the 2 points gained in the standings. The team's championship aspirations continue to fade as injuries mount and performances against weaker opponents reveal significant gaps in execution and preparation. The discussion around Stephanie White's leadership deserves nuanced examination. White demonstrates solid tactical abilities in specific situations, showing competence when circumstances align favorably for the organization. Her performance hasn't been catastrophically poor throughout the campaign, and she shouldn't be labeled as fundamentally inadequate in high-pressure moments. Evidence from the Commissioner's Cup and Mercury contests suggests she possesses legitimate strategic capabilities. Her preparation for individuals, they lose. Like, it's as simple as that. The Indiana Fever, when they don't get themselves up for the game, they lose. And that's scary. We're looking at Vanderbilt's Stephanie White, and by the way, like, do we not remember how? Like, I know the short-term memory. Do we not remember the run did Wash the Fever went on to blitz the Mystics? The team's identity revolves around outworking opponents through sheer determination and hustle. When players fail to elevate their engagement level, losses follow predictably. This psychological fragility represents a significant concern moving forward. Recent footage demonstrates the squad's potential when firing on all cylinders. Their explosive run against Washington showcased everything positive about their approach. Constant movement, transition opportunities, and aggressive shot selection. Players operated with purpose, creating the flowing basketball that defines championship-caliber teams. Odyssey Sims looking up, launching forward. They were running. We were shooting, running up and back. We were shooting. We were doing everything. We could have done. It was great basketball. Kelsey Mitchell's playing out of position. Sophie Cunningham's playing point guard. Unless you believe Kelsey Mitchell's real position is sitting on the bench, Kelsey Mitchell is not playing out of position. And if we look at big wins from the Fever, current lineup configurations raise questions about positional assignments. Kelsey Mitchell's role appears misaligned, while Sophie Cunningham handles point guard responsibilities. Unless observers believe Mitchell belongs permanently on the bench, her current usage suggests tactical confusion rather than strategic positioning. Statistical analysis reveals concerning trends in Mitchell's performance against quality opposition. Her output in significant victories shows inconsistency that undermines team success. Against Seattle in an important early season win, she managed only 9 points when the Storm still maintained competitiveness. Other results show mixed effectiveness, 34 points in a loss, 26 in a victory over Chicago, but questionable efficiency against stronger opponents. Examining wins against legitimate contenders exposes Mitchell's limitations. Her 17-point performance against Atlanta came on 19 attempts, hardly efficient production. Washington victories don't carry significant weight given their rebuild status. Chicago games showed better results with 17 and 22-point outputs, while her Liberty performance benefited from Clark's presence on the floor. Stepped up in the fourth quarter though. Washington, they're not a great team. Chicago 17 to win. 22 in a win versus the Liberty. She was good in that game. With Caitlin Clark. Let's not forget, with Caitlin Clark is very different. With Caitlin Clark, she's 26 in Seattle on 14 shots. Then soon as Caitlin Clark goes down, it's like, she had 25 in the win against the Aces. Cute. Great. Caitlin's there. A lot of the games is good teams without Caitlin. The Clark factor cannot be understated. With the Star God available, Mitchell posted 26 points against Seattle on just 14 shots, demonstrating her potential in the proper system. However, Clark's absence exposes Mitchell's weaknesses in crucial moments. Even her 25-point performance against Las Vegas came with Clark's support. Fourth quarter execution consistently defaults to Mitchell regardless of her earlier struggles. This approach transforms her into an isolation-heavy player reminiscent of inefficient scorers who prioritize volume over team success. Two distinct versions of Mitchell exist, the effective complementary player and the problematic hero ball specialist. The notion that Mitchell should play freely according to her instincts represents flawed basketball philosophy. Her natural tendencies often lead to poor decision-making that undermines team objectives. This approach contradicts fundamental winning principles. Meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham receives inexplicably limited touches despite her exceptional shooting ability. She operates as the league's most effective three-point marksman this season, yet teammates consistently ignore her availability. This oversight becomes more glaring with each contest. Individual instances of poor passing can be attributed to player error, but sustained patterns indicate coaching failures. When the league's premier shooter remains underutilized for extended periods, responsibility shifts to leadership. That Stephanie White, Sophie Cunningham is left wide open. She is left wide open all game, every game, and every single player on this team, other than maybe Odyssey Sims a couple of times, looks her off. Sophie Cunningham is out here shooting threes on the break to try and get shots off. She's the best three-point shooter in the league right now. She is being left wide open. And that is, if it happens one game, it's on the players. If it happens 2 games, it's on the players. On 3 games, coach, you might have to do something about that. The fact is, Cunningham finds herself attempting desperate transition threes simply to generate shot opportunities. Timeout conversations rarely emphasize getting Cunningham quality looks despite her proven effectiveness. Instead, coaching instructions focus on feeding Mitchell in situations where better options exist. The disconnect between personnel strengths and tactical emphasis creates unnecessary offensive limitations. This ball movement deficiency extends beyond individual oversights. Fact is, we have not yet heard Stephanie White start a timeout with, "She's open, give her the fucking ball." We've heard the Stephanie White, We push, get Kelsey the ball. Get Kelsey the ball, I don't know. Why not when you've got the literal best shooter in the league? The entire roster operates with tunnel vision, prioritizing immediate scoring opportunities over superior alternatives. Pick-and-roll sequences result in quick decisions rather than patient development of optimal shots. Successful organizations like Washington and Phoenix demonstrate proper ball movement principles. Their offenses feature consistent side-to-side passing that creates advantages through player and ball movement.